it's August 15th, and I'm coming down North Kroger Mountain, and look what I found. I found right there 2,000 miles. I have made it 2,000 miles from Georgia to Maine. So I got 192 miles left to go, and that's it. And over there, they have the rules for what you have to do to climb Mount Katahdin. So I took a picture of that just to make sure I can read it later. I don't feel like stopping here. But holy mackerel, 2,000 miles. Wow. Through mountains, swamps, rain, a little bit of snow, hail I've been through. Boy, it's just been some trip. Wow.
Most all get ragtag band of believers on the dark and muddy trail, heading for a place that they call Katahdin, land of legend or fairy tale. Must be some kind of special nirvana for the crap that they go through. Only one thing I gotta tell you, brother, better than me or you. They say, oh, quit hurting with disaster, I'm flirting with people, fail me now. You stop throbbing, you got me sobbing, I keep moving but I don't know how. I've got blisters on my feet and dirt in my teeth, and by God I know I smell. I'm heading for a place that they call heaven. I hope it's heaven, cause my body sure feels like hell. In town I shower and do all in my power to gut whatever I can grab into my mouth. Folks are staring, but I won't quit caring, cause my energy's heading south. My appetite won't stop, I've eaten worse slop than they feed to the piggies at the farm. I close my eyes and I hold my nose, and I pray it won't do me no harm. Oh, back, quit hurting with disaster, I'm flirting, oh Pete, don't fail me now. When you stop throbbing, you got me sobbing, I keep moving but I don't know how. I got blisters on my feet and dirt in my teeth, and by God I know I smell. I'm heading for a place I hope is heaven, cause my body sure feels like hell. I'm heading for a place I hope is heaven, cause my body sure feels like hell.
All right, we climbed after resupplying in, what was the name of the town? Stratton. We resupplied Stratton. We had a nice lunch at the Crazy Moose. Looney Moose. Good food, nice little place. Charged the phones and stuff. And now we climb the first lower peak of the Bigelows. So you can see behind me are the two peaks that we have to go to. And the Stratton ski mountain. We were there yesterday on the other side. And we're here with Mr. Tangle. That's Tangle's dad. and Trash Panda and Kiwi. Hi, Kiwi. So we're going to camp somewhere down here in the valley between these peaks, and then tomorrow we go over the rest of them, and this is the last mountain we have to climb before we go into relatively lowlands with just a peak here and there. Nothing more than 1,000 feet. Yeah, just 1,000 feet. So we're happy about that. We're right next to the Bigelows, so we're about halfway, maybe a little more than halfway up. So tomorrow we go over and go over flat top, and that's it. It's downhill to more flat areas. We're so excited. And here's a beautiful lake where we're just hanging out. So just a gorgeous lake here on towards the top of the mountain. And we're all just hanging out here, just eating our dinners. Ice packed in a sub, so I had a nice sub. And we're all hanging out on the rocks. It's just really great. We're hoping a moose will show up or something like that. But you can't relax any better than this. We haven't done something like this in such a long time. Been eating mostly in my tents. And there's Tangle peeking through the trees. Tangle's dad's with us, so we're having a good time with him hiking and that. So I just can't wait to see what it's like when the sun actually sets. It's August 16th, and a lot of wind last night, which means change in weather. And sure enough, it's raining, it's foggy, and there's showers of heavy rain and light rain. So we're right at the base of Bigelow. We went from the campground over a little hill. We're right at the base of Bigelow to make the climb. And there's two peaks. You go up, down a little bit, then up again and over. And then once we get over, it's down, 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 over flat top and then down. We're trying to make the 17-mile shelter, but we'll see what it's like when we get to 10 miles. Hopefully it's going to clear up in the afternoon. I'm not sure, but somebody said it was supposed to. That would be good. Climbing up these rocks are tough when it's raining and wet. So we're taking it slow, plus Tangle's dad's with us, so that slows us down even more, but whatever. So I'm waiting for the rest of them because I walked all the way to the base here because I was cold. And I was sweating under my rain jacket, so I took that off because I was just too hot. And left my rain pants on, trying to keep my shoes from getting wet, but I think that's a lost cause if I'm going to be walking all day long. The waterproof isn't really waterproof at all. So anyway, hopefully it'll clear up. We'll get over the mountain and then everything will get easier. And that's it for now. Drying your tent after it poured on you and you reach the top of the mountain. Even with the fog, the wind gets most of the water off. This is a scene from Mary Poppins where they fly their kites, only we're flying our canopies. And poor Kiwi's just trying to stay warm. This is Little Bigelow, and or South Bigelow, and to the north is the other Bigelow. And it's amazing, the wind up here. It's like, here comes Chickadee, and if she's not careful, Chickadee's gonna fly away. But this is what it's like on top of South Bigelow. We're ready. See what? Big Mama K? What's that? Where? You're supposed to be able to see Katahdin from here, but that's not today. I don't know what lake it is, but it's a big lake. It might be Catatunk Lake that feeds into the river from a dam that we have to cross by canoe. But it's a really nice lake. There's somebody's house and pleasure boat over there. Very nice. Okay, I made it to the West Carey Pond Shelter. And it's a beautiful lake here. They call this a pond, but beautiful lake. Got here about 7 o'clock. So I gotta look how clear the water is. I mean, it's just so clear. Wow. It's beautiful. It's August 17th, and I was at the last shelter, which is 14 miles from the Kennebec River. So it was pretty flat, and we just hauled it. And I got here, we left about close to 7:30. I got here at 12 on the nose, which is pretty fast hiking, but it was flat. And at the Kennebec River Ferry, it's a canoe that the conservatory pays a guy between 10 and 2 o'clock to ferry through hikers across. So I had to be here before 2 o'clock, and I'm here with plenty of time. It's a big river, so I'm about to go across in a canoe. I don't even know if he'll let me paddle, but He's taken 2 others across now. You got to sign a release form, which I did already. So I'll show you the river. There's a schedule they post, and that's the little river we were following for about 3 miles. And this is the Kennebec River. So yeah, it's a good sized river. And you can see over there is where they're offloading the 2 guys that were before us. Deborah, I forget her trail name, and her friend, they're both from, oh nuts, I forget where they're from. Anyway, nice people. New Zealand they're from. And back at the shelter before last, Kiwi is from New Zealand. And that girl there, Deborah, heard about her just from people saying, hey, there's another one named Kiwi. She finally caught up to her, and it turns out that they both went to the same high school, didn't know each other. Kiwi was a couple years younger, and she may know Kiwi's brother, and she only lived maybe 2 or 3 miles down the road from her. So that was kind of weird, kind of neat at the same time. So he's coming back now, so I'll get in the canoe with my pack, and then he'll shuttle me over, and I'll check to see. I was thinking about maybe staying at one of the hostels right nearby. If there's no room, then I'll just resupply and move on and stay at the hostel the next town, which is in a couple days, which is right before we go on the 100-mile wilderness. So I really want to stay there. But I walked through the rain, pouring rain, for about the first 2.5 hours, and so I'm pretty, my shirt's about dry, but everything else is still soaking wet. And I'd like to dry out and wash my clothes because they're going to stink. My waterproof shoes are just full of water. So anyway, let me get ready for him. Well, I went into, what was the name of the town again? Catatunk town. Went to the hostel. It was full, but I was only going to stay there if it happened to not be full. But anyway, they had really good resupply, so I resupplied there, ate lunch there, and then I did the extra 5 miles up to this Catatunk shelter here. And I was going to sleep in my tent, but then it looked like it was going to rain again, so I decided to go in the shelter. There's only 2 of us in the shelter here, and as you can see, I'm drying my shoes, drying my socks. The fire was started, so it's nice and warm. And in the shelter, we're drying our stuff because since the fire was there, all the smoke and heat's blowing into the shelter, so things are drying pretty fast in there, which is good. And then I'm sitting with my butt to the fire, and now my pants are drying. Isn't that great? So I'm going to be pretty dry, and I have I reserved a spot in Munson in a hostel. It's the bigger hostel that has a really good supply and everything, because that is the last stop before we start the 100-mile wilderness. So I want to make sure I get a good night's rest, I resupply everything, do what I need to. So I reserved it for Tuesday. Today's Saturday, so I have 2 more days to get there, which means I don't have to do big miles or anything. So if I do like 12, 13 miles a day, I'm good. I'll be there. I'll get in there early on Tuesday, have all day to do what I need to, and then we do the 100-mile wilderness, which I'm expecting it to take roughly about 6 days in general, about that much. And then that's it. So 6 days plus a day to climb Katahdin. So we're talking about plus 2 days there, about maybe 9 days left to this great adventure, and we're almost done. Wow. So really something to think about. Well, it's August 18th, and today and 1 day out of Munson. So tomorrow I'll get real close, and then Tuesday, as I said before, I'll do a Nero in Munson and relax. But At least the sun's out today. Hopefully it doesn't rain, but it's pretty hot. Sun's bearing down here by the river. But we got this nice little river to cross. It's a big river leading into a lake, and we get to hop rocks to get across. Shouldn't be too difficult. There's a lot of rocks. I'm at the top of Moxie Bald, and this is well, the mountains keep getting smaller, but this is the tallest mountain left before we go through the 100-mile wilderness, which I'll get to the town in, I only have 18 miles and 2 days to do it, so I'm taking my time. So I'll do like 9 miles each day. Then I'm gonna do a Nero day, resupply as I said before, and then off to the 100-mile wilderness. So I literally have about 120 miles left to go, because I think may even be a little less, because I think after the 100-mile wilderness there's about 15 miles to Katahdin. And from this bald right here, it's bald because there's so many rocks. It's not because it's above the tree line. I can see Mount Katahdin, which I'm going to show you now. So this is to the south where we came from. And then in the distance, right, the flat top mountain there is Katahdin. So we can see Katahdin. That's what we have to climb as our last destination. So literally in the distance, it's the flat top mountain right there. I don't know if you can tell or see, but that's it. That is Katahdin. So in about, I don't know, 9 days or so, that's where I'll be. And that means I'll be finishing roughly on time. Oh, that's so cool. Well, I'm at the shelter right after Moxie Pond Mountain, whatever. And it's a beautiful shelter campsite right on the lake. There's my tent. All my clothes airing out. I'm going to Munson and staying at a hostel day after tomorrow, so I can probably wear my clean clothes tomorrow, and everything will get washed. But right here, we're near a lake. It's beautiful. Even got a picnic table down here. And we heard a loon before making a loud noise. It was just a great sound when they do that. It kind of echoes through everywhere. And it's just a nice lake. A lot of nice lakes up here. Just about everywhere you go, there's a beautiful lake. This water's not as clear and clean, so we had to get our water from a stream, but it's still beautiful. Alright, it's the 19th of August, and there's been a few streams. It's been raining, but I put my rain gear on this time to see if I would be any different. And I guess I'm not soaking wet, but you know, sweat, and you just get wet. And my shoes, I guess inside it's not soaking wet, it's just really, really damp. So I guess it worked a little bit because it rained pretty hard. But here's the first river that I actually have to ford because of the rain. There's no rocks exposed. This is the river, and I have a rope there, but I can take my shoes off and put my Crocs on and walk right across there, or I can go where the rope is so that way I don't fall, or I can just go in my shoes and get soaking wet. I'm not sure what I want to do. I guess I'll take my shoes off, and if they're not saturated, I'll put my Crocs on. If they're saturated, I may just put them back on and walk across. And that'll be easier because the rocks, you know, I'll have to be careful with my Crocs. They don't slip too much, but anyway, so that's what I get to do now. Decision made. I took my one shoe off. My socks are wet, and the insert, I could squeeze a little tiny bit of water out, which means it's saturated. So A little bit more is not going to hurt, so I'm going to leave my shoes on. I took my rain pants off. My pants they're wet, so from sweat and whatever, and I'm just going to keep my jacket on just for warmth. That's about it. You know, it's not even worth it putting your rain clothes on unless you're cold, because you just get wet. It's just the way it is. And it seems like in Maine, it's been raining every other day, so it's... Fortunately, I packed up my tent as soon as I heard a little bit of sprinkle. So I packed up my tent and it stopped. Didn't really rain hardly at all. So only my canopy's slightly wet. Everything else is dry in my pack. So at least that's good. My tent's gonna be dry tonight. But it poured for about an hour. And I met some workers on there, and they were under their little canopy waiting to see what I was going to do, and they gave me some candy bars while I was talking to them, so that was really nice. But anyway, so I'm just going to walk across, hold on to the rope, and get across. Don't have to worry about my feet hitting rocks or anything now. And took my rain pants off because it just doesn't matter anymore. All right, here's the second ford, I think the second and last ford for the day. That I'm changing my shoes this time because at the last shelter I had a fire and I was drying everything out. So my shoes are dry. I'm not gonna get them soaking wet again. So I'm gonna put my Crocs on and walk across. Here's my pack, and this is where we gotta ford across. It's not too deep, so gotta go right across over there. Yes, I'm in my tent. I got 6 miles to town before I go to this Shaw Hostel, which is the last big resupply before I do the 100-mile wilderness. And I am eating my Pop-Tart for dessert. And no, I am in my underwear because all my clothes are wet from sweat and rain and everything else. It rained a lot today. We had 2 river crossings. The first one I just walked through in my shoes because they were so wet anyway from the rain. But then at lunch I stayed at a shelter. And I built a fire, and for about 10:30 I got there, so I built a fire and dried all my stuff out and left there roughly around a little after 2 o'clock because I don't have a bed at Shaw's Hostel until tomorrow night. So I'm only 6 miles out from the road, so I'll do that real quick tomorrow, get in there early, relax, resupply, do laundry, which I haven't done in about 8 or 9 days, and take a shower, which I haven't done in about 8 or 9 days. So that'll be really nice. So while this thunderstorm makes a lot of noise, I'll eat my Pop-Tart. Wow, that was close. Must have hit something really nearby, but I'm still going to eat my Pop-Tart. Notice I didn't drop it. And hopefully this will be done tonight. Tomorrow will be nice and sunny, which, since we've been in Maine, we've had equal days of sun and rain. So almost every other day it's rain. The weathermen lie here. They never tell you the truth. So you can't trust any of them. That's just the way it is in Maine.
We look at each other, wondering what the other is thinking, but we never say a thing. And these crimes between us grow deeper. What's next? Goes to visit his mommy. She leads him well, his concerns he forgets them, but he never remembers these. Oh, that's it. Playing under the table and dreaming, take these chances, place them in a box until a quieter time lets down you up and high. Girl, just Candyman. Oh yeah. Driving this highway. That's right. Driving in this highway. All these cars end up on the sidewalk. People in every direction. No words to change, no time to exchange. Well, all the little hands are marching. Red and black and ten now beating. They all do it the same. We all do it the same way. Yeah. Handyman attempting the loss of a sweet tooth, tortured by weight loss. Program cutting the corner loose and sand cut on the fence, cut not too often. Cut. TV's Johnson's, place them in their box until a quieter time. Lights down, you up and down, yeah. We're here. Lights down, you up and down. Yeah. Bam. Bam.
Wow, you have got
thank
a
you,
voice. Bam. What was the one you were doing? Where do we go from there? What was this one? That's the line on grade.
Oh gosh.
This is Shaw's Hostel. It's full tonight because a lot of people stop here before the 100-mile wilderness. And I'm meeting a lot of people that I haven't seen in weeks or months here because they're all kind of catching up, or I caught up to them and spending a 0 day here, whatever. I spent a Nero day today, which feels like a 0. So tomorrow it's off to the 100-mile wilderness. So you got 2 picnic tables here, just people hanging out. Bunkhouse over there, some type of bunkhouse over here. Go around the back. And we got a nice tent city back here, about 1, 2, 3, 4. About 8 or 9 tents. A lot of good stuff going on here tonight. I'm gonna go inside and upstairs.
Fish too.
Yeah.
That's my bed in the corner. To the
About
right.
50 miles south of Green Bay.
And it's got a bathroom here, and bathroom there, and up and down this hallway are all private rooms and bunk rooms. Nice place. Got a porch out here. Got some seats right here, or I can kind of sit and just hang out on the balcony.
That's gonna be weird hanging up the trail name. I'm marking on the calendar. I was thinking about going up to a bar. So you're not coming to the bar, right?
It'll be probably the 4th.
So pretty soon I got everything packed, so pretty soon I'll be in for the night. And I bought the breakfast for tomorrow, so I'll leave about an hour later than I wanted, but I'll have a nice big breakfast. And then off I go into the 100-mile wilderness.
Oh, I will. Happily. I'll pick up a bunch of fat on the way.
Made all kinds of arrangements with Marianne to meet me there next Tuesday. And that's it. So this is the last hurrah for any of the hostels. We won't be at any other hostels. Well, there's one, but most of us won't be going there. Some will. Until the end, where we camp for the last time, then go up and summit Katahdin. So a lot of friends that were made on the trail and that are just rehashing what they did and what they've been through, what they're gonna go through. Yeah, really nice night.